present the artist to the big label, the parent company. When we presented to Clive Davis back then, it was he looked at me and he was like, "Oh, hell no. You're not a star. You're not pretty enough. Stars are born, they're not made. Why don't you just scratch this whole album, Dallas, give it to a whole nother group, and she can write everything." And I lost that deal for 3 years before you saw Young, Sad, and Blue. So by the time this was happening the second time, and I tell this story so people understand the depth of why they have not seen me constantly put out music, you know, it started so early for me. And the ups and downs started so early that it kind of crushed. I was a kid. So that guy, like, crushed me. You in 11th grade and somebody's telling you in 11th grade, oh, hell, the biggest person in music, responsible for Whitney Houston, responsible for all those people. It's like, you know what your kid, if you got kids out there, you know your kid's mind is 16, 17 years old. Take the biggest person in music to look them in their face and tell them, you're not pretty enough, you don't look good enough. That will shut you down. And so back then I had enough courage to pick myself up and give it another shot with another deal with him, because eventually he left Clive and he called me back. I was actually, I feel compelled to tell this story. After my group, we were called Pretty Hips and Thighs, and this is important. Chucky Thompson put this group together. I know Thomas knows, but everybody knows who Chucky is, right? So in D.C., Chucky Thompson, who's responsible for Mary J. Blige, My Life, Faith Evans, we basically, the day that I got signed to the time that I got signed to Dallas when he came to D.C., it wasn't just me. It was me and Chucky. And we, you know, I told Chucky that he put this group together. I told him, bring the group to Teen Summit that day because Dallas was coming and we could probably get signed. So this group that I got signed to with Chucky when I was in the 10th grade, that was Chuck's group. So that's the group that initially moved to Atlanta. Those girls were in college. I was in high school. When that group got dropped, I moved out here to L.A., right? I'm going to tell this story to somebody. I want people out there to know what it takes to really make it in anything you want to do. Because Thomas knows, a lot of people know I'm still putting music out. I put a project out 3 years ago. I don't intend to stop. I moved to Los Angeles for a play with a good girlfriend of mine called her name is Cy Smith. She's an amazing indie artist. We moved out here because we got cast in this play. The play was called The Shiznit, and it was starring Lavelle Evans and A.J. Johnson, all these young black comedians that were L.A. natives that were just starting to come up. And because the play opened, we were out here rehearsing for like 2 months. I was out here getting skinny because at the time everybody in L.A. was skinny. So I would get up in the morning, I would not eat, and I would run 5 miles and go to rehearsal. That was my life, Hollywood. So the play opened, right? And nobody showed up in the audience. And immediately the director of the play told us, me and my girlfriend Sai, the play's not going to work. Y'all got to get out the apartment. And we were like, okay, are you flying us back home to D.C.? Like, what are you doing? And he just disappeared. So here I am. At this time, this was after the group got dropped, right? So here I am, 17 years old or so, and I'm sitting in L.A., and I'm calling my mom. She worked at UDC. And my mother was like on furlough. UDC had got DC government had gotten this furlough, so my mother was flat broke. I had no way to get home. I was stuck in Los Angeles in this apartment. Now, my girlfriend Sai had a boyfriend out here, but I was a loner, always had been, so I didn't have anybody. So you know what happened to me? This is amazing. This story, this is the most amazing story of my life. I had to leave the apartment. I got a suitcase full of stuff. I had 2 suitcases. I had to leave the apartment, and we lived in North Hollywood. And I sat in a park in North Hollywood, and I thought about my future. I had quarters. I had like $200, and I kept calling everybody I know to try to give me a ticket to get back home. And it started to get dark, and nobody could help me. and it got really dark, and I didn't have anywhere to go, so I slept on the park bench. And when I woke up, both hands were on my suitcases, like that was going to stop somebody from stealing it. This was in North Hollywood Park, right on Morrison Park, right on Magnolia Park, right in there.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was the first night that I slept in a